Imagine if your father was away fighting in a war a long way away across the other side of the world. He'd been away for 2 years, and you're already missing him a lot. You don't know whether he's going to come back even. And then one day the letters stop coming. You don't hear from him for months. You don't know if he's alive or dead. And your mother's very worried as well, so she decides that you're both going to go over the other side of the world to France and try and find him. It's an experience that takes you right into the heart of war, a very, very terrible war, that'll change you forever. That's the experience of my main character, Annie Cliff, in my new book, My Father's War. Hello, I'm Sophie Masson, and I'm here to introduce you to my new book, My Father's War, which is a different look at the Anzacs, a different look at the way that war affects people, but it's a mystery story, it's an adventure story, it's a great drama. The story basically is that, like I told you about Annie, and who goes with her mother, Mary Cloud, as everyone calls her. She's actually French, her mother, and her father's Australian. They met long ago in Paris and married and came back to Australia. And then, of course, war breaks out. Her father joined up and went there. And when they arrive in France to look for him, they can't find any answers. Her mother goes everywhere to look for him and ask questions, but nobody seems to want to tell her where he is. And they start to worry. He's not been listed as missing. He's not injured. He's not dead. Where is he? And they take lodgings in a place called Amiens, which is a big town actually, near the battlefields. And while they're there, Annie's mother goes looking for her father, and she doesn't come back either. And suddenly she's on her own with the lady who owns the place and her son, who is about Annie's age, and his name is Paul. And then suddenly the Germans attack Amiens, and all hell breaks loose. They have to leave, and the kids are suddenly on their own. And then they go really into the heart of the war. It is a great adventure story, a great drama. It's a historical novel as well, but it is the story especially of kids in the middle of war and what happens to them. Now, my inspiration was that I'm French and also Australian, both, and I have always been fascinated by stories which combine the two things. And this is a very strong one because everyone knows about the Anzacs fighting in Gallipoli, but a lot of Australians fought on the Western Front. In fact, most Australians fought on the Western Front, and the Western Front was northern France and southern Belgium. And so I knew about this, and I also knew that there was a corner of northern France where Australia is very, very well remembered, because Australians actually liberated this area of France from the German invasion. In fact, in one place, which is called Villers-Bretonneux, there was a very, very famous victory on Anzac Day in 1918. And it's funny because it was 2 years exactly to the day after Gallipoli, and it was a turning point in the war, but it was a very, very important victory. A lot of people died there, but there was a lot of bravery, and the area was liberated for good. We went there, and we spent a few days going around all the battlefields, checking out all the villages. Going to the village of Villers-Bretonneux has got a lot of connections with Australia. It's twinned with a town in Victoria called Robinvale. And in the school, which is called the Victoria School, which was rebuilt, Australian children gave money after the war for the school to be rebuilt, because everything in the town had been destroyed by bombs. And so you go into the school, and there's all these things about Australia in it. There's carvings of Australian animals, wombats, platypus, kangaroo, everything like that. And there's a big sign which says, "N'oublions jamais l'Australie," and that means never forget Australia. I really enjoyed writing this book. It was a very moving experience as well in many ways, and I hope it will be for you too. I hope it will give you a new perspective on what it's like to be a kid caught up in the middle of war. Now, it happened over 90 years ago, but it's still very, very fresh for many people. The feeling of what it's like to be two 11-year-olds like Annie and Paul stuck in the middle of something that they can't control, but that they must try and survive through. And it's not the experience of soldiers, it's the experience of kids just like you. How would you survive? How would you go through it? I hope you'll enjoy finding out in my book, My Father's War. Look for it at your Scholastic Book Fair.